Hi everyone, McBeard here, and welcome to a 10-minute primer about Legends of Runeterra, which is Riot's new card game. It has entered open beta as of January 24th, and you can go to playruneterra.com to get the game. It's free to play, the tutorials are very good, and the game's very fresh. The game has a unique approach in which you can't really buy cards. It's not pay to win in any way. In fact, it is actively blocking people from buying all the cards. You can't buy boosters. You can only buy a fixed amount of wild cards per week, which is not very many. And you actually have to play and level up what is called Vault and cash it in every Tuesday to actually expand your collection. Content creators are also blocked on making a wide variety of decks to show you every single week or constantly on stream. So this creates a very unique environment for content creators. And I also think that this game is very approachable because for the first month, the meta is going to be very soft as people can only commit to certain things and it changes every day. This is an evergreen set of cards with 6 factions, 4 champions per faction, so 24 of League of Legends champions are represented in the game, one of which is Garen, but I'll be going through all of the champions and the factions in this 10-minute primer. But first, I want to talk to you if you watch me for Gwent content, which you probably do. How is this game different from Gwent? The main thing is that Gwent is different from every other card game. So to understand how this game is different from Gwent is to understand how many card games operate. Many people got into Gwent through The Witcher 3 and haven't played other card games since then. People who are more into card games in general understand resource management with mana costs and combat-based things such as power and toughness and that kind of thing like that. But one thing you will be used to is playing 1 card per turn and planning ahead. I think this is where Gwent players will really excel approaching this game because most cards play with your opponent being able to respond to it and you being able to respond to mostly what happens when your opponent does. But from there, I should probably start comparing this to games that would make a little bit more sense for comparison, things like Hearthstone, which this game is really only similar to in how you generate mana, which is 1 per turn. Every other aspect of this game is better represented by a different game. So there's 3 major aspects to this game that a Gwent player wouldn't really be familiar with, and that is player health, minion-based combat, and resources. Resource generation like mana. The best part about this game is going into a tutorial, you learn a lot, plus there's tooltips for everything, and it's very simple. You need to reduce your opponent's health to 0 before yours is reduced to 0. What I like most about this game is how this game actually handles combat. You declare attackers very similar to Magic the Gathering, and your opponent will declare blockers. And then, of course, there's a lot of great combat mechanics that you can activate afterwards, combat tricks and such. You have this awesome little thing called the Oracle Eye, which shows you how things are going to resolve before you actually commit any of your actions. And you get the satisfying feeling of just, boom, nailing your opponent's nexus in the face. This is a tutorial. Don't celebrate me. Like I said, you're limited to your purchases. As you can see, these wild cards go out of stock and you understand when the restock is going to be in process and you keep track of all your stuff up here. But you are on a reward track that actually unlocks boosters or chests or capsules, and then you actually choose the region that you want to gain your cards with. You really start getting pushed ahead when you get things like chests. You get a lot of shards, wild cards. In some cases, you get the Expedition token. Expedition is the arena mode, which I have a video coming up. You have to pay to get in here, but you do find a token in your first couple of levels on the prologue track, I believe. And you can use coins and shards to get into Expedition because you do get at least 1 champion and you can play 3 a week. So this is another great way to get cards. It takes time though. You actually have to put in a lot of time. And finally on Tuesday, you get a vault. I'm 1 level away from getting a finished triple diamond vault. It goes up to 13 every week. And this is just playing. As you can see, it unlocks in 19 hours. This happens every Tuesday. So whenever you're watching this, make sure that you get your vault leveled up. And now I just want to use the rest of my time just to quickly discuss how this kind of game is put together with the different regions. First up is Demacia. This is a very combat-focused faction. It has very important keywords such as Challenger, in which you can actually choose the blocker for your attacker, as well as Tough, which means that units will take 1 less damage from all sources. You've got your Demacian superstars, Garen, Lux, Fiora, and Lucian, and decks to build around all of them. One thing I'd like to point out is Fiora, as she's the only alternate win condition in the game in which she can actually win you the game without reducing the nexus to 0, so that's very important. We also have the Elite Tribal, in which, you know, a lot of things might care if a card is an elite or not. There's a couple of tribes in this game. And finally, we have Rally. Rally is something that actually allows you to attack more often than you'd be able to, or attack twice in a turn. So this is a very powerful effect that's limited to a couple of factions. Demacia has some great unique faction stuff, specifically Purify, which is a silence effect. It removes all keywords and basically makes the unit stock right out, just a vanilla unit with stats. And it also has a card called Detain, which captures a unit, also unique to Demacia. This effect is very similar to Magic the Gathering, in which a lot of cards in the white color have effects that exile a unit or a spell or a card from combat as long as that enchantment or creature remains in play. The removal options for Demacia consist of single combat, which is very good, allowing you to remove a unit outside of battle, as well as judgment. You actually have to initiate battle, but this can be a board clear in some states. And now we have Freljord, the icy mountainous region of League of Legends. This faction is very similar to Skellige in that they care about self-wound, but they also care about deck buff, which is great, buffing stuff in deck. Ramping up, so if you're familiar with Hearthstone, this is very much like the Druid class, and big chunky units later on in the game, like the champion Tryndamere. They also care about Frostbite, effect, which actually reduces any unit's power to 0, and they also care about units that have 0 strength as well. They have a couple of cool tribals in Poro and Yeti. Like I said, their deck buff stuff is fantastic. A lot of their key spells revolve around Frostbite, but they have some very unique stuff in Catalyst of Aeons, as it is a spell that actually ramps your mana up, effectively advancing you a turn. They also have Avalanche, which is a board clear. It's a very slow spell, so think sorcery speed in Magic, something you can only cast outside of combat. But it's it deals 2 damage to all units, so it helps with self-wound, and it also removes a lot of pesky units at 1 that might be elusive or otherwise hard to hit. And then there's Ionia, the home of ninjas and swordsmen and other shadowy figures. This has a really control-y feel. Ionia very much feels like blue in Magic the Gathering, in that you actually have a counterspell. One of the key cards for Ionia is Deny. So actually having a counterspell is very much like blue, but in other ways, you're very much like blue in that you have very elusive and evasive units. Sorry, very specifically, elusive units, in that this can only be blocked by another creature with elusive, which mimics flying in Magic. It also cares a lot about card draw. It cares about hand buff, which is very cool if you like Scoia'tael in Gwent, as well as caring about stun and recall, which is not quite the hard control that a faction like Shadow Isles might have, but actually involves a lot of delay of game, delay of combat, in which you can actually go ahead and close the game in different ways with large units later on. You don't quite ramp, but you slow the game down for your opponent. They care about barriers as well, which is like Shield in Gwent and like Divine Shield in Hearthstone. As well as caring about stun and recall. Very controlling stuff like that. Noxus is the aggro faction. This is the Dark Empire, home to Darius, Katarina, Draven, really important League of Legends figures. Key spells for Noxus are things like Blade's Edge, which is like quick aggro spells, Culling Strike, which kills a unit of 3 or less power, and Nox and Guillotine, which kills a damaged unit, so think Execute in Hearthstone. These units are very aggro-focused. A lot of times in Noxus, you're going to find overstated cards for their cost, with the drawback that they can't ever be blockers. This isn't that bad a drawback if you're looking to close the game very fast. We can see a lot of aggro here, represented in the Legion Rearguard, which is a 1-mana 3/2. It's the best statted card in the game, and stuff like Spiders with Fearsome, making them hard to be blocked. And then you have Decimate, which allows you to deal 4 damage directly to the Nexus, which means that the games become closer and closer in reach the weaker and weaker your opponent comes, especially when you have stuff like Darius, who gets stronger when the opponent is already at half health. So this is definitely the aggro lovers faction. Now, Demacia has a lot of big spells, and Piltover Zon actually has a lot of small spells. This is the most spellcasting focused faction. They have a lot of elusive units as well. They care a lot about discard, shifting the board state in interesting ways, cloning things in your deck, cloning things on the board. This is the home of Teemo, so you're doing a lot of planting mushrooms in the opponent's Nexus, and you have a lot of cards that actually increase the amount of traps that the opponent can draw into, which means your opponent basically is taking damage as they draw, which is another way to get the game in reach. So there are a lot of interesting ways to close the game with Piltover Noxus, but what I like the most is actually the fact that they have a really stable discard archetype with stuff like Flame Chompers and seeing stuff like the Champion Jinx. So if you like discard, there's a lot of Skellige fans out here that might like this particular faction. Finally, there's Shadow Isles, the most controlling faction out there, probably the best representation of the color black in Magic the Gathering. You do a lot of self-sacrificing here. You want to kill your own unit, so it's kind of like Consume in Monsters, and you do a lot of ephemeral actions, which means that you're creating units that only exist for one turn. You have a lot of cards that care about things that may have died on the turn that you're playing right now, and you have a lot of ways to kill those units. So I like this faction the most. It has a really strong removal piece in Black Spear, which is a very cheap ping of 3, and it has the wrath of the game, Ruination, which means that you actually have a way of wiping the entire board. And don't let 9 mana scare you. With the way that spell mana works, you can actually save up 3 spell mana and cast this as early as turn 6. I really like this game. You should check it out as well. I'm going to be doing a lot of content on this. Gwent content will continue, but I will be doing some content on this game at least, probably until the Season of Love starts on February 4th. And now I want to leave you with some gameplay, because I know you love some gameplay and you want to see how this game really works. So here's my first couple of games playing ever as we did the pre-launch on the 23rd of January. Thanks for watching, my friends. Hope you enjoyed the Legends of Runeterra content that will follow. Like and subscribe if you do. Leave me a comment. I know I'm going to see a lot of bad stuff, but I know I'm going to see a lot of good stuff too. And I'll see you for the next video, which will be coming out very soon. Take care, my friends. Yeah, I think it's rewards. That's... Yeah, I gotta get we also can play an expedition early as well to get a bunch more cards, but I just want to get some ranked games in. Some kind of limit on cards in your deck. Yeah, there's cards called champions. You can only have 6 of those, and you have 3 of any other kind of card. I injured my wrist yesterday? 2 days ago? Yesterday. And it hurts. All right. Now this is the kind of start I am okay with, right? I will take this whole hand. All right, TX. Yeah, buddy. Look at this dude. I love it. That's it. Oh, I can scratch his belly too. All right, shoots his Gatling gun. Scratch his belly. All right, that's way too fun. That's way too fun for somebody my age. All right, let's go. Let's just get out there with the aggro.
Reporting in.
One of the best start cards here. You just start digging in.
I'll do better this time.
Just trades, but I'm fine with that. That's another good draw here. It's just kind of good to have on hand.
There's nothing to fear.
Yeah, I definitely want to get Black Spear, so I'll play my Elise as well.
Come closer.
We're gonna see a lot of Elise mirrors because it's just a strong starter. So I'm just trying to get a superior board here. Now I believe Elise can't block Elise. Fearsome means can only be blocked by enemies with 3 or more power. Right? So Elise actually can't be blocked by any of these, if I'm not mistaken.
Who's my favorite? It is you. Yes.
It is you. Yes. You are my favorite. Okay, so here we go. So we get an attack. We get an extra attacker here as well.
Skitter out from the darkness.
But this thing will get blocked. But these 2 things can't be blocked. Pretty free-to-play friendly. It's not so much that it's free-to-play friendly, although you could say it is very free-to-play friendly. It's that it is not. It's not pay-to-win friendly at all. I actually just don't have the options to build the deck that I want right now. I must play. I must play.
My
get better
true
attacks.
beauty is beneath the skin.
So we just leveled up Spider Queen Elise for the first level up in our career here. And we have a very good board. We also have Withering Wail deal 1 damage to all enemy units. So we want to make sure, we'll play this at the end here. Just play like a bunch of 1 strength units. Like I hope that this is like the Brood, because we might just win right there. All of our units have Challenger. Grasp of the Undying. That sucks. But since something died now, we can play Black Spear to kill my opponent's Elise. I can't block this unit. It's fearsome, and none of my spiders are brave enough. Ooh, man, this is great. So crowd favorite. When I'm summoned, grant me +1/+1 for each other ally I have. And I have many an ally. Plus the overwhelm is very important. So I think we go for it.
I salute you.
6/6 Trampler. Missing this premium cards. Well, hey, I'm not going to say it has better art than Gwent. But the art isn't bad. I mean, I have to make him. I have to force my opponent to act here. So I think I go in. Like, I want to see trades. This trades poorly with everything, and this is the only thing that can kill crowd favorite. So we just go in with all. We just stampede in there with everything. And even blocking the crowd favorite to kill it, it doesn't even kill it, first of all. There's still the trample damage as well, so the 3 overwhelm damage still goes ahead. Our opponent takes 7 damage in this exchange. And loses everything. Alright. So I think if we can just get through this round in a favorable position here, we can stun something as well with our Arachnid Sentry. Can't block. That's very good. Pass.
They won't get past me.
Can't block. Also good to see.
Okay, ready. They got past me.
I mean, I don't want to flood my board. I can only have 6 units on my bench, right? So I think just play Hapless Aristocrat.
That egg. Did it move?
It's not working. Yeah. I'll get it. I'll get it working in a second here. I'd have to get this. To get my desktop here. Get the deck tracker going, which probably needs to be updated. Now, why the hell are you seeing my fucking start menu? Oh, I just realized why. Because this is capturing my monitor. Well, that does suck.
We weren't expecting ballers.
You weren't expecting ballers. Hecker him. Where were you every other time I needed you? Well, I just play Hecker him now. I'm scared he just has Vengeance to kill him. Like ideally, I play Hecarim at the beginning of our defending round.
No.
All right, I'm just gonna get 4 damage in right now. I think we just win it by being patient.
I'll handle this myself.
All right. Just showing my display as well for some reason. Because that's how I could capture Slay the Spire. All right. Let's see. So we want the stun. We'll have 8. That won't be enough. The stun, I'm gonna need to play the stun, but then I can't play Hecarim. Gonna kill our own ally here to get the benefit of Death Wish, by which I mean Last Breath, by which I mean Death Rattle, by which I mean when this unit leaves the battlefield. Draw 2 cards.
Death by my hand.
Oh, and the kill here. Alright, I don't think we take enough damage to even level him up.
Please, I have connections.
It's all about removing blockers here. This dies anyway, right? Well, if this dies first, then Darius would go in for full damage, so I actually have to have put this against something else. Well, hold on, wait. Yeah. This is how it needs to resolve, like this. And now we play Hecarim and attack in with Hecarim. And that's very good. Whoop. Wow, 2 Withering Wails. So if I deal 1 oh, we just win here, I think. Well, we might just be winning anyway. But we play Withering Wail as we attack. I think this is everything. This is pretty crazy. Maybe playing the Withering Wail is not necessary, but I could have played the Withering Wail before attacking.
This won't be a fair fight.
We do get 6 health back, though, in the deal. This is just kind of like what I want to do. The gems dividing the battlefield. Like the red and the blue is our health.
Not so fast.
When that hits 0, the game's over.
Step away, coward. Press on.
Alright, let's get this deck tracker working. We got ourselves a winsies. In the middle, sometimes it connects with cards. Effects that are about to happen.